All right, let's talk about this steam cleaner. Um, I recently purchased this within the last few months, and the short version of it is it's worth the money. But let me go through everything. So steam cleaner, pretty straightforward. Actually, we're gonna go for a little adventure here, so I can come in here. So hopefully you're not too like sick moving things. But let's do this. So let's take a look at this thing. First off, we got a pressure guide that if there's steam built up in there. We have this guy right here where you put your water. If it is turned on, it is hot. That's why it has a warning. Definitely turn it off and leave it for a little while. There's gauge, like I said. There's a power switch on the side. This is where the steam comes out of. You have your little gun, which I'll talk more about. On the side, you got wheels. On the back, they also come with this handy dandy cargo net almost. They have the ability to kind of wrap your cord around. I have the cord plugged in already in wheels. So like this is a pretty durable, pretty sturdy little device. Like I said, done a lot of cleaning with this. So let's dive into some of the attachments, how it works exactly. So actually, so you can see this firsthand. So we have the gun. This is your kind of like where it all starts, the gun. You have a little guide on the side here, which is literally just like a safety. So if I go like this, it's going to be a little loud. It just is kicking some water because it's been sitting for a little bit, but now we got steam coming out. So if you I've let this sit for a little while to make sure it's going. So in the beginning, it had a little bit of water, but now we got steam. You have a safety, so it doesn't go. You have power. Like how much power do you want to? Usually, I just set this to max power if I'm being honest. So I just leave that there. And when I'm ready, I'll kick it over, off the safety, start going. So this is kind of your base. Let's talk about how to build off this base. One other thing I'll also mention as I'm setting this back down is that the steam is will loosen up dirt and help knock dirt out of crevices and cracks and things like that, but it's not a miracle worker by any means. Having a rag of some sort will come in handy to wipe things down, and then from there, depending on your job type. So let's start. Obviously, we have the one that we talked about, right? We do have this little adapter here. The adapter system goes like so. You want to put it in almost, so you have this piece right here, right? Like that. So you want to slide it on sideways and then twist it until you hear that snap to get your attachments on to make sure they're going to stand sturdy. And then there's a whole host of attachments, everything so it has this little hexagon looking piece that'll connect onto this part. You push it on, and now you got a scrubber, so you can kind of scrub. So if you're gonna, so let's just use an example. I don't have much of a clean area or dirty on it here. So let's say we wanted to work through a little space. It's a little hard to see here, these little dots, but then we can turn the safety off, turn it on, and work on scrubbing through those things and then wipe it up. That's very loud. As you can tell, it is working. And then from there, we just wipe it down. We're good to go. So it does a very good job. This little guy, so this is for little nooks, crevices, small areas, things like that, which comes in handy. One thing I will also note when you're doing this, to go through, sorry, make sure I was recording, that then is if you pull it off, be careful, because there might be some water, which there was on this one, and it potentially burn your hands, so be careful of that. So I pull away when I pull these things off. You have a lot of other attachments, and typically you have two each of the attachments, minus this one. This one's like a high pressure, like if you're trying to get into nooks and crannies, that's where this little guy comes in handy. And you can blow out things in like caulking. I use this sometimes in the bathroom, in the corners, things like that. I'll even use this particular piece in my car to kind of go into the door, not door jam, but in the crevices of the doors, things like that. The only thing, just to test, if you're gonna use this thing, test it before you go put it real close in, because it is pretty powerful, pretty hot. So go over your area, see if you can, before you just go full force with this thing. So this guy's super powerful. Let me kind of give you a demo of this guy, so you can kind of see it up firsthand. Where it's more, you can get in there and apply a lot of steam right in one spot. Which, when the bathrooms, for me, our bathrooms are our sinks, our counters, our stoves. If I'm trying to get into tight nook and cranny areas, I don't necessarily need the scrubbing, or I'll use this and then switch over to the scrubby piece afterwards. So once again, pull it away. There's a little water in there. But let's, for a second, set this down. I'm going to put the safety on. You can just set it right on top of this little area here. So we have all their attachments. We have one for This guy is heavy duty, so be careful with this one specifically. Super heavy duty, like it could hurt your fingers even using it. So like grill plates, things like that, where this would come in handy. There's 2 of those. You can see 1, 2. Comes with the kit. Boom. Keep in mind these all come with this thing. You have the little scrubber I mentioned already. You have like the super like consolidated like wash, almost like a pressure washer power coming on here. Not quite that powerful, but you get the idea. We have more of like a sponge, like kind of like a Brillo pad almost. Let me change this slightly. There we go. Almost like a Brillo pad. You got 2 of those. You can see I've used this one a little bit, like on in like my like sink and things like that. Then we get into slightly bigger pads. I'm not quite giant yet, but getting slightly bigger. So that's kind of like your starting point. So what happens if you have like maybe this table, maybe it's this table over here, which I believe you can see I'm looking. Yep, you can kind of see this. What if you're like, I don't want to bend down through all this, right? That's where we start getting into some of these wands. Once again, so we take off this piece, this end, pull away, make sure we can pull it off. There we go. We got to push this in, pull away, and we're back to the original gun. We can then change this out. Once again, twist and click, and now we have something that's a little bit longer, and we can do very similar things. Now we could take that same piece we had on before, once again, twist and click, and now we got a longer wand to kind of work with, which is pretty cool. And then we can use all those same attachments. So let's say, for example, we wanted to use this little scrubber. We can go on the end of that, and now we can use that. That's where we don't have to bend over or do anything like that, or even on this table, you can do that. So that's pretty cool. I like this. I like the slots. Like this is medium range. Maybe you're just reaching just a little distance. I use this as well. I'm being tall. Everything's far from the ground. Being 6'3", so like that's cool. So that'd be kind of our next step. And then once again, pull away from you. Pull, twist. Sometimes it gets a little jammed. Twist, pull away. So then we can take this to yet another level. They come with 2 of these guys. So once again, on, twist. Now we got a super long wand. Hopefully you can kind of see that in picture. So it's super long. So if you have a long distance to reach, you're trying to reach the floor, that's where some of these other attachments that come in handy. So you have this little 2-part attachment. I use this for like my bathtub a lot. And I do this where this attachment right here comes on, and it has this little triangle piece, but then this triangle piece connects onto here, and then we can use this to scrub whatever we're trying to scrub, and it works fairly well. Like except for the bathroom, this is kind of my go-to. And then if I need anything else, I will then move into, typically if I need a smaller crevice area, maybe one of these or a little bit smaller, or that super powerful one where if I'm just trying to get into really nooks and crannies, like maybe there's some soap stuck in the corner and I can't, this is too big, and even like this is too big, then I'll move over to that more high powered one and then wipe it down from there. You also got a couple other fun attachments that go with this. This guy right here for glass, things like that. Once you can go ahead and like, I put this on backwards actually. Let me flip it around. Steam outlet, which is actually pretty nice. I forgot about that. So they do have some nice messaging steam outlets. So make sure you actually read, which I didn't do. Clap it on. You have your steam outlet. So this could go through and get like your glass, things like that. And then there's a squeegee. So I haven't done a ton of glass, but I'm actually kind of excited about using this in the near future. So you got that part for like glass, anything you would squeegee with. There is also a brush on here. So if you're going to scrub anything, that'd be another option as well. We also got this other attachment, which I won't put on, but this will spray pretty, and you can scrape. So if you have hard to get off things, this can come in handy as well. Obviously test all these before you go full ham and go crazy with everything. And then one of the things that my wife and I like quite a bit is this big attachment. So it also replaced a steam mop. Same clicking concept, clicks on, and it comes with 2 of these. So you literally throw this on, boom. You throw that down, and you start steam mopping. this is probably actually a very good use case for on top of here. But then then it'll start picking up things as you're going. And this is literally like we do this with our kitchen virtually every week. It gets a lot of steam. It definitely gets hot, so careful with that. If you needed something that was a little more aggressive than this, there's also like one of these guys that you can put on the sides of this, and then put the pad back on, and this will actually scrub. Which I'm a little nervous to use this part if I'm being perfectly honest, but that's all of your pieces, I'm in. And the nice thing about this, when you're done with it, once again, pull away. This will all break down pretty quickly. Once you get the hang of it, it takes a little getting used to. You can break this all down and bring it back down to your edge, not your edge, but your little gun like you had here. And they also comes with a little bag, so you can just take and put all your stuff in this bag. This is the only way I make sure that I don't lose everything, so I put it all in there. We put it all in there. So you can see, 1 second, it does fit all in the bag. So you have all your attachments in the bag. You're ready to rock and roll. Then once you're done with this side, okay, you just power it off. And that gauge, give it some time, it will churn. It will basically go from like a green area all the way down. That gives me an idea that we're clear to turn it on. So